And hello, everyone, and welcome to Get a Grip with Coach Elex. I'm your host, Coach Elex, and with me, my amazing co host,
Steve in the medium.
Steven the Medium, is in the house. And today, we have an awesome show. Well, every show we do, it's an awesome show, but
Yeah.
since we love the holidays today, I figure we talk about holiday harmony, finding peace, joy, and presence in the holiday chaos. And I think every single one of us can take advantage or can benefit from a conversation like that. What do you think, Stephen?
Well, I have never heard holiday harmony, but I just got to tell you, I mean, that's a drag queen name. Seriously.
Well,
If I was
maybe
going to become a drag queen, my name now would be Holiday Harmony. I
let
love
me
that.
just let me say that is not an option. That would be a deal breaker because the first and only time I saw you as a drag queen was you dressed up as Cindy Brady, and it was just nothing I want to see again.
What? Whoa. I don't even know
The
where this is coming from.
pantyhose
You need me
and
coffee. Listen, you love. First of all, it was a costume. It wasn't. I wasn't dressing up in
well,
drag. It
but
was a
but,
costume,
but
right?
you were
For
a
Halloween.
custom. Yeah, but that's a drag.
Yes.
You were drag.
You loved
As
me. You loved that costume. It was me that because we're going to Salem. We're going to be outside. It's October 31st. It's Halloween, and it was cool. So because I had a little short like dress on, like a baby doll dress, like Cindy Brady would wear, my legs would get cold. So I a couple of days before went and got pantyhose and put them on to try them, and they were on me for I would say a minute, and I didn't pull them off. I ripped them off. How women wear pantyhose, and I think it was just like sort of like a check mark for me. Like, yeah, the for me anyway, the dressing up as a woman, yeah, not so much. No,
Yeah,
uh-uh.
for
So
me too. So
I had to go bare legged, and but I looked so cute. I even had my Brady Bunch lunchbox. I don't know where I don't know where that's coming from, Elix. I think I'm very shocked at that. You didn't want
I
to see me
love
as
the
Cindy
costume.
Brady. Yeah.
I love the costume. I just don't like you in drag. That's all. So
Well,
I rather
listen,
take the handsome Steven that I know
me
that I get to
too.
wake up every morning. So
But it's
that's
Halloween. It
that,
was definitely
that's
Halloween.
that's
So
all I'm
listen,
saying.
I dealt with when you were one Halloween. You were Snooky.
Oh,
So
but Snooki, I'm not gonna lie.
yeah,
Snooki was pretty awesome. She was pretty hot. Just saying. And
yeah, I'll pass.
she was the hit of town. I mean,
Well,
would
that
you
was true.
agree?
That
Would you
was true.
agree
Yeah.
with that?
Yes.
So, how did we get
Yes.
into this conversation? We're past Halloween. That should have been the Halloween show, and we're past Halloween. But anyways, we're going to talk about holidays because honestly, I will tell you, I'm going to need this conversation today on behalf of all of those all of you who love the holidays, but you get so stressed and I do. I'm one of those people. We have family coming over for the holidays. I'm already thinking about that. Then you thinking about, oh my God, I gotta buy for this one, for that one. We gotta then go on this trip. And, oh my goodness. So, anyways, I'm gonna need this for myself. I need to find peace, joy, and presence in the holiday season, just for me. But anyways, this show is not about me. It's about you and us and everyone and anyone who's listening. So let's talk about that, Stephen. How are you? And can we talk about New York City weekend?
Well, that's two completely separate things.
We'll
How am
start with
I?
one. How are you
I am
first?
I am excellent. I am very, very good. I had a very big week because I teach courses, and I just finished teaching a course on Wednesday. It's all under the Spirit umbrella, and I've had the same people that follow me and take these courses every single time I give them, and they're the greatest. And but I got to tell you, we did Wednesday was the last night for this course, and we closed it up. But we did a meditation that was for the first time ever, and I've done a lot of courses, I pulled in magic, like magical spells, which I thought would be really interesting and cool, and because they're under the spirit umbrella. So I had everyone do their own spell, including myself, and we meditated and we astral projected into the universe, if you will, to a different plane, to a different frequency, and I guided the meditation, and we all did our spells, if you will. We casted our spells in that realm, so there were no more physical restrictions here because we were not here. We were outside of the physical restriction. So I got to tell you, I got so many emails from all the students that absolutely loved it. It was really, really great. So that was a big week for me. And New York was
hold on before we get into New York. New York is a subject in and of itself. But I will say I love the magic spell, even though you insist that I fell asleep through the meditation. I don't think I did.
You did.
I don't think so.
No,
I think
did.
I went into a deep state of of meditation, but I loved it, and I really thought it was so powerful, and I want more of that. So,
and it was, by the way, Wednesday was a super beaver moon. It's like the biggest and brightest moon there is for the year. And that was not set up. That's spirit. Just, listen, when you come from an authentic place, that's what the universe does. It sets you up. So we also had that, not only magic energy, but we had the moon energy. And yes, so the spell I created was for me and Elix. So at nighttime before we went to bed Wednesday night, Elix said, can you do that meditation? So I did. And yeah, no, clearly in the middle of that meditation, I heard, I'm like, yeah. Okay.
That's deep breathing. That is considered deep breathing. And
you know what?
No, I disagree. Anyways, New York City, we brought our friends Krista, we call her Christmas, and Jonathan, or Jack. And it was her
Jonathan?
First time.
Where'd that come from? Jonathan?
Oh, no, I've always called him Jonathan.
John.
Yeah, John. But it was Christmas's first time in New York City. So we packed a whole lot in 2 days. Mm-hmm. But I think watching her be like a kid in a candy shop was priceless.
You know what we did? We started as soon as we got there, just a couple of hours in. We went to the plaza for afternoon high tea, and they never experienced it. It was phenomenal. Elix and I did it. You and I did it last year, and it was just the two of us. It was the greatest thing. Just on a side note, though, Monday on Instagram, Lisa Welchel, who is Blair from Facts of Life, posted a picture of her and her daughter. She was in New York there. And she didn't say what day it was. And I said to Elix and John that, thank God, that I could not be sitting in a restaurant when Blair Warner from Facts of Life is sitting with her daughter, because there's no way I could not go up and just want to sit with her. Just saying.
That would have been a commotion for sure.
It would have been a big commotion.
Sure. And she was seated in the same area
yes.
as we were. So that would have been something else. And by the way, if you don't follow us, look us up on Instagram or Facebook. Steven posted a video of all of us at the high tea. According to him, it's at the Palace, but it's at the Plaza Hotel in New York City. I needed to throw that in, Steven.
I have no idea what you're talking about. So let's move on.
But that was fabulous. We also we went to One Eat by Land, Two Eat by Sea, which is one of the most incredible restaurants in New York City. Oops. And we took a dinner cruise. And Krista had an opportunity to watch the city skyline at night and up close and personal with the Statue of Liberty. I think that was awesome.
Yes, it was. It was a great trip.
So, anything else?
No. New York was great.
Yeah, New York was awesome. I actually. John is here. It was amazing every way. Even the bagels and cream cheese were top notch. Of course, there's nothing like awesome bagels and cream cheese in New York City. So what else is going on, Steven?
Nothing. What's going on with you?
Let's see. With me, I don't know. I don't even know like how to answer that question because I think I think I'm doing well. I'm excited that I went to Quincy with you last night because normally that's something that you would go on your own, and I changed my schedule to come with you and be with you, and that was awesome. Just to be with you and this small group of people, ladies, and but but I think life is pretty awesome. Would you not agree with that?
Yes, the group yesterday was fantastic. It was a great energy, and the women were just great. So it was good. The event was good. I love doing private events.
I think so too. I love it because clearly it felt like they was having such a great time together. They bring food and drinks, and then you come and you do your thing and you spend time with everyone in the room. And it felt like by the time you were done, their lives were fully transformed. And that was me. That was the experience of me just sitting in the back, just listening and watching everything. So
I mean, and I got an email from Liz who set this up. Liz, who I've known for a long time, and it was at a friend's house that we did this group, and she said the same thing, that everybody loved the event. They loved how specific the messages were, and also how nice I am. So it was a win-win in that email.
nice and nice looking, because
Sure.
I remember that as well. But anyways, I think Steven, why don't, because we're just about close enough to get a break. Let's do a small break, and when we come back, we're gonna talk about holiday harmony, finding peace, joy, and presence in the holiday chaos. We'll be right back. And hello, everyone, and welcome back to Get a Grip with Coach Helix. I'm your host, Coach Helix, and with me, my amazing co host,
Stephen Frederick.
Stephen the Medium, who is also my husband. And today we are talking about holiday harmony, finding peace, joy, and presence in the holiday chaos. And the holidays, of course, are supposed to bring warmth. They're supposed to bring connection and joy for many of us. But oftentimes they bring pressure, they bring exhaustion, and a lot of stress instead. And I can personally speak for that. So, between whether it's family expectations, that endless to do list that we create every year, and the pressure to make everything perfect, our brains go into that overdrive that causes us to find a lot of stress. So today's show is about diving into the neuroscience of holiday stress because I got a little bit of training in neuroscience. And so the question is why our brains react the way they do. How do a small mindset shift and healthy boundaries can help us bring back balance, calm, joy? Because really, holiday season, it's not meant to be draining. It's really meant to be fulfilling, to be a time of joy and really harmony. And that's the reason today's show is holiday harmony. So, Stephen, with that said, I know holidays are very meaningful to both of us. So I have few questions that I want to just propose, but and then you and I can sort of like navigate some of these, the answers. But I'm thinking, for if you're listening, I want you to think about what part of the holidays bring you the most stress and why, and what part of the holidays bring you the most joy and why. Whose expectations are you trying to meet this season? What would it look like if you allow yourself to do enough instead of everything? And when was the last time that you felt truly present during the holiday season instead of busy trying to do for others? And what made that different for you? And how can you simplify? Ultimately, this conversation is about how can you simplify your celebrations to focus more on connection and less on performance. And so, with that said, Stephen, let's start with the first part. What do you think for you? What part of the holidays bring the most joy to you, and what part brings the most stress to you, and why?
Well, I don't think. I mean, stress wise, I don't get stressful. I mean, I don't get stressed out, and I think so much of that is because all the holidays, so much of the holidays are centered around getting together, and of course they're centered around food. So because I don't cook and I don't have any of that kind of pressure on me, that removes so much of stress for me because it's not like I have to, like even if it's not the actual holiday, it's before the holiday and you have people over and you're entertaining. I don't get worked up because I'm not in the kitchen preparing things.
I
It's almost
am.
like, well, but I'm talking about me. I just like I come and I'm here, right? So I don't really get stressed out with the holidays. I mean, it's really the opposite of just being very, joyous, just feeling that time of year. Because for me, the being here in New England and how it starts getting cooler and we lose light, and that's for me that's all part of growing up as a kid, which I loved, and that joy of seeing Christmas trees out and decorating the house, and even for Thanksgiving, and we're starting with Halloween with pumpkins and seeing the witches, and I think that's the joy that comes with this, in keeping in the back of my mind that I am able to share these holidays in a healthy way is a very, very big deal for me. It's just always reminding myself that to be grateful for what I have. And that's also a huge, a piece of what brings me happiness.
But when you say sharing the holidays in a healthy way, what is an example of that, Stephen?
I mean, it's getting together with people, and I think you have to really when you're doing something, whether it's in a restaurant or at home, or you're just getting together with people. When you have those experiences of people that you really get, like you're both, you're all on the same page, the same wavelength. It's a really, really good time. It's a connection between people. I think you have to hold on to that and remember that, for if there's a chance or possibility that in the same holiday span you're going to be in a place that someone, just is not the most positive or gets on your nerves, or just, you have to be able to hold on to the really great experiences in this holiday. I think that's what really just keeps the joy moving forward.
Yeah, no, I love that. I mean, for me, you said it, because I'm the one that cooks. I'm the ones that has to deal with whatever we're serving, the menu, putting things together, and I do get super stressed. And you often say to me, Elix, if you're so stressed, why are you doing this? And that's a great question. Like, if it gets me to be that stressed, why do I do it? And so I would say that is the part that is most stressful to me. I'm also, I also get stressed about, oh my God, I have a list of people that I have to buy for. And I think what happens is, Stephen, is I get so caught up on the expectation. For example, if we're hosting people, I create this expectation that it has to be perfect. And that expectation is what leads to stress. Because the reality is it doesn't have to be perfect. And the reality is that if I go to that other question, what brings me most joy during the holidays? What brings me most joy is really looking at what the holidays are really truly for, which is, like you said, being grateful, celebrating family, celebrating love, celebrating life. And, and oftentimes when you and I, during the holidays, we deck the house for Christmas. But sometimes the best part of the holidays for me is just sitting, looking at the Christmas tree, and just doing nothing, just being there with each other. That is the part that, to me, brings me the most joy. So I'm thinking that, for me anyways, as I'm having this conversation out loud with everyone, it's really about being aware that these expectations that I create, because the truth is, I don't think that people would come here having an expectation that anything has to be perfect. I think they come here because they would want to just have a good time. Eat good food, of course, but just have a good time. And I'm thinking about, we have people coming over for Thanksgiving. I don't think that, your cousin, Holly or Morgan or Tristan, are going to be expecting, I don't think they're going to be disappointed if things are going to be, if they're not perfect. Does that make sense, Stephen?
Of course.
Anything else?
No, I mean, of course it makes sense. That's just the stories that we get in our heads, and they're not rational stories. I mean, you may have somebody who, I mean, can come into an engagement, a party, whatever, and walk out and just complain or pick apart whatever they just experienced. But again, that's on them, and that's their stuff to sort of deal with. But I mean, I think for the most part, people that are, just want to be there because they want to be around you or the person that they're connected with. That's really what it's all about. And when it sort of takes that sidetrack of, picking at, this you were supposed to bring this, or you were supposed to do that. I mean, that's where it goes all haywire.
Yeah, and it also brings me back. You and I have had moments of a lot of stress, even decorating a tree, because you've called me out many times for this need, or that it's got to be perfect. It's got to be, this is the way it has to be. And the truth is, last year I remember I was away traveling on business, and you did, I don't know, 10, 12 trees on your own, and they were perfect. They were and it was, for me anyways, coming home and having that done felt like it just felt wonderful. Like it felt like there were these 1,000 pound rock was lifted off my shoulder. And I think that is really, it's a constant reminder that we have the capacity to shift that narrative. And and by the way, that brings me to, there is some understanding of what is the neuroscience behind that holiday stress. And I think one of the things, the key things, is understanding that our brains crave predictability and control, both of which the holidays disrupt, because often there is no predictability and often we do lose control. And it's also important to understand that our brain threat response system, that amygdala, which is that part of the brain that is, was created to protect us from that perceived threat, activates under social and emotional pressure. So when there is that stress or that that anxiety that comes from, I gotta make sure this is perfect, it actually activates that amygdala part of our brain that can put us into that state of fight, flee, protect, and defend. And I will say, we have, there's two chemicals that our brain produces. One of them is dopamine and oxytocin. And we call those two brains the connection chemicals, because oxytocin is also known as the trust hormone. And when stress is activated in our system, that those hormones, that those chemicals dropped, because we feel overwhelmed. And so it is important to understand that there is literally a physical response to how our brain perceives what is going on, caused by the anxiety, caused by the uncertainty, caused by these expectations that we create. So one thing that I would invite listeners to do is to learn to reframe, because the goal here is never to eliminate stress, because stress is already part of our lives. It's to learn how to manage it consciously in real time, so that we're not sitting with it, so that we're not taking it with us. It's learning to understand it's there and then manage it, regulate that stress in real time. So it's half past the hour. We need to take another break. As we go into the break, invite you to ask yourself, what's one part of your holiday routine that leaves you feeling depleted instead of delighted? We'll be right back. And hello, everyone, and welcome back to Get a Grip with Coach Helix. I'm your host, Coach Helix, and with me, my co-host,
Steve the Medium.
who is also my amazing husband. And today we're talking about holiday harmony, finding peace, joy, and presence in the holiday chaos. And before we took a break, I asked, what's one part of your holiday routine that leaves you feeling depleted instead of delighted? And for me, and that leads me to, what I wanted to talk next is, again, that pressure to be perfect, because sometimes that pressure to be perfect comes from what we've been taught, our culture, our families. We've grown up. I grew up with families who, that was the narrative. Everything has to look perfect. Everything has to look beautiful. So cultural and family narratives about the perfect holiday experience, it is something that can lead you to feeling depleted, not delighted. So I'm going to invite you to ask yourself, what is that family narrative that you grew up with? What do you remember? What comes to mind when you think about what was passed down as perhaps a routine for the holiday season? Stephen, anything for you that comes out of what leaves you depleted or delighted?
Well, listen, I'm sounding like a Pollyanna because I keep saying I don't get stressed out, I don't get depleted, and I believe me, I do. It's just in this situation with holidays, I don't really ever feel like I'm depleted. Like I don't. I mean, but I am also somebody that, listen, if I know I'm going to see somebody after the holidays, I very well, and you know this, I very well might not and probably not have a present before the holidays. And it's not because it's no connection. There's nothing connected to it. Like, well, it's going to be cheaper after the holidays. I just don't do it. And as long as when I do get to see them, I have something for Christmas, we're good, right? That's just the way. This is the way it goes with the holidays for me. But growing up, I remember an experience with my mom. My brother had moved out because he's older than me, and he had moved to New York City, and the two of us went to get a Christmas tree, a real Christmas tree, and I decided to pick one that was very big. And the two of us got it in the house and we're putting it up, and it just wouldn't stay. We both got so aggravated and irritated that we just both walked away, and with this gigantic Christmas tree laying on its side in our dining room for a while. And, my mom, and I'm just like her, is very stubborn. So am I. And it was just like we were aggravated. And so the tree just laid there. I swear it was like a couple of days. And then we got out of it and realized it's the holidays and it's Christmas. And we ultimately got the tree up. But it's just, when I think back at that, I just also think that we're all going to be in that place of being stressed out at some point for something generally that is small, foolish, stupid, that it just grabs us. And the key is to really step out of yourself and just think, wait a minute, what am I really getting mad about? Like, am I really getting mad because someone just moved an ornament from one place to the other, or it's hard to get the Christmas tree up? So it's so where I come from right now, going into the holidays, I don't, unless I'm just forgetting something, I don't ever really honestly feel depleted. And I guess it's also because it's my favorite time of the year, and I don't want to waste it. I don't want to waste one day of feeling not happy because it goes by so fast. So that's my answer.
And I think that's a wonderful answer. And I think a lot of people relate to that. Or if they don't, they can learn from that as well. I also think that the pressure to be perfect, Stephen, gets amplified by that emotional cost of comparison, especially through social media. Because right now we use social media, we see everyone is posting what what everyone does, their trees, their presents, their parties. And as human beings, we one of those things that actually it's designed to be depleting is that comparison, comparing yourself to someone else. My tree's bigger than yours. My tree is, it's better decorated than yours. Or I have my dinner buffet was more expensive, or it looked more luxurious, whatever the comparison is. But I think social media is a vehicle that amplifies that comparison, and that I would say that emotional cost of comparing ourselves to other people leads to that pressure to be perfect, which leads to a very depleting emotional response in our system. Would you agree with that, Stephen?
Absolutely. Because I think it's so easy, not just also just about solely the holidays, but for every aspect of our lives. It's so simple and so easy to look at social media and just do an immediate comparison. And it's just crazy to think like you're looking at something that may or may not have filters. I mean, none of us know, right? So you're looking at something that you may be comparing yourself, especially like you said for the holidays, that it's like realistically it doesn't look like the way it's posted on social media. It may, I don't know. But I can completely see how people fall into that. And it's social media just, I think, pulls out the, that connection to material things of, it's just, again, everything has to be bigger and better. And I just, I think it's just crazy.
Yeah, and I think, and you and I have experience. I mean, we talked about, when we went to Palm Springs, and that, some woman came out to the pool with a robe, and then she removed it, and she had somebody else take pictures, and for 20 minutes, that's all they did, just take pictures, and then she put the robe back on and left. She never stayed at the pool. She never even went into the water. So I think social media is designed to create the illusion of whatever that illusion is, and that's why it can be very dangerous when we sort of rely, for the lack of a better word, on social media to compare ourselves to what somebody else does or doesn't do. So that's something that I would say be very careful about. Now, I also think about the perfectionism as a control strategy that actually fuels anxiety, and I just spoke about that before, and you have plenty of experience with this, Stephen. I grew up needing to be perfect because my story, my narrative is I wasn't good enough. So I needed to prove I am indeed good enough. One way to prove that I am good enough is through perfectionism. And I used that as a way to control, right? Control. It was a control strategy for me. But instead of supporting me, instead of leaving me with the experience of delight, it just left me with the experience of anxiety, the experience of feeling fully depleted, and often, with the experience of not being in the present, enjoying the moment. So again, that is, and you said something, Stephen, earlier, and I meant to highlight that because it's so important. And perhaps this is part of next. There is a science behind self-compassion, and self-compassion is a way to calm your nervous system, and a way to practice self-compassion is through kindness. So when you said, Stephen, earlier about really asking yourself, what am I really upset about, right? Because oftentimes what we're responding, we're activated by something, and in the midst of that activation, we we forget to be self compassionate, to be kind, to be to be good to ourselves. What are your thoughts on that, Stephen?
I think it makes a lot of sense. From talking to dead people all the time and doing courses and just learning so much that I get to learn from spirit. One of the things that is in our control and what when I'm doing readings and I'm sharing messages to people that I am reading from their loved ones in spirit, we clearly can't control everything. You already talked about that, and I think that's where people get tripped up when they want to control everything. But the one thing that we can control is ourselves, and it really is so simple when you really bring it down to the basic simplified level. It's so simple. When something happens, you either react or you respond. It is so easy to get out of reacting and get into responding. And like you could try that at any point. Like if you're someone, say, who drives a lot or in traffic, and you're someone who is very sensitive to people cutting in front of you and you're screaming or you're swearing, or which a lot of people clearly are in that boat. If you just take like one experience, one day, one episode of driving, as you always do, and say someone does cut right in front of you, but at that second where you're gonna react like what the hell, are they doing, like whatever the case may be, and you just really stop yourself and just say, you know what, no, I'm gonna respond in a different way, in a more kind way. They probably do not know this area and they didn't mean to do that. The difference is monumental. It is so, like, if you just try it, one example, one day, 1 hour, 1 minute, it completely changes everything. Because the former, when you're screaming and you're so upset, that lasts forever. You may think you get rid of it in a couple of minutes. No. I mean, the second that what is done to your body and your energy getting all riled up, versus the second, or the latter of, no, I'm going to respond and not react, it really gives you, like almost like a hug. Like, oh, that this person didn't do anything on purpose. And I know you like it's speculating, but it's a good speculation to respond and not react.
Yeah, and I think what you're saying, Stephen, one of the we have been conditioned to react. That's our condition since young kids. But what you're saying is, just because we've been conditioned to that doesn't mean that we don't have the power to change that. So instead of reacting, learn to respond.
Yes.
Beautiful. So we need to take our last commercial breaks. But with that said in mind, I'm going to invite you. What if this year, instead of reacting, you respond, you learn to respond by letting go of being perfect, that perfect host, that perfect parent, that perfect partner, and just simply aim to respond and be present? How might that change your experience in the moment? So we're going to take a small break. We'll be back. We'll be right back. And hello, everyone, and welcome back to Get a Grip with Coach Elix. I'm your host, Coach Elix, and with me, my amazing husband and co-host,
Attorney Masick is in the house.
also known as Stephen the Medium. And today we are talking about holiday harmony, finding peace, joy, and presence in the holiday chaos. And since this is our last segment, Stephen, I think we need to talk about how do we reclaim peace, joys, and presence during the holiday chaos for many of us. One of the first things that come to mind is, thinking about the power of intentional boundaries. And that what I mean by that is learning to protect your time and your energy. And that actually means learning to say no, learning to say I can't, learning to say it's not a good time, learning to say I could do this, but I cannot do that, learning to compromise so that it protects your time and energy. Stephen, what else would you add? And I'm also curious from a spiritual perspective, what advice would you give our listeners?
I think, again, from what I've learned from spirit, is that when any of us are in a situation, and it happens to all of us, right? Every one of us gets in a situation that we may the focus is the holidays, right? So you go to a party, you go to a family event, there's somebody there who is just, in your perception, horrible. Whatever they do, or it's just the way they are, or they're negative, or whatever the case may be, that experience is an experience, right? I guarantee you, though, after that experience is done, you walk out of that house or wherever you are. What is 100 times worse than that experience is keeping it around, keeping it live, meaning that the next day you speak to a friend and you go to eat, or you're on the phone and say, the conversation that we've all done, you're not going to believe how she was. And the other person, she didn't, he didn't. And it keeps going, right? Because you want to be validated, you want to be right. That's what it's all about. And your loved ones in spirit, your mother or father or grandmother, grandfather, whoever you love who is passed away, I'm telling you, every second of that is looking like, I just wish I could get to my daughter, to my son, and just tell them that time is ticking. Like the sand is going through the hourglass. This is it. And you're spending so much time on this. And it's you don't understand what it's doing to your body, to your energy, to your brain, to the people around you, to the environment that's around you. And that's what spirit does. And they don't do it in a judgmental way. They do it in such, I wish I could help. I also understand, though, because I was in that same spot and position when I was in the physical world, and I did the same thing, and I didn't know what I was doing until I crossed over. I wish I could just help my daughter or my son or my best friend. That's really what it's all about. And I think the great way to get out of that is if you have that situation and you leave that house, just stop for a second and just think of a couple of things to be grateful for. As soon as you do that, it's a light switch that changes everything. You get kindness and grace back to yourself, and then you can let it go. You can say, oh my God, I feel more bad for this person, because look at everything I got. Look what everything I have. And then you let it go.
And actually that I was going to talk about creating small rituals. That's actually a ritual.
Yes.
That's actually a ritual that people, we all could benefit from, and it's not a complicated ritual. I also, in this also, talking about small rituals that really are designed to anchor us, Stephen. You do this, whether it's a morning walk or a walk in nature, in the woods, whether it's just making a gratitude list, a tech-free dinner. Now, this, Stephen yells at me all the time because I'm the one who's more likely to reach for the phone when we're having dinner, and Stephen corrects me. He asks me very often, are you more interested in taking that call or talking to me? But that's also that's a ritual, that it's a reminder that what, I need to be interested in being present, in being here. So that is a way to reclaim peace, joy, and presence, whether it's the holiday season or any season whatsoever. I'm also, I would invite people, all of you, to reconnect with really what truly matters for you. Sometimes it's about connecting people over performance, letting go of that. I gotta be perfect. How about we're just gonna have a great meal, and it's gonna be however it is, and it's gonna be perfect, exactly the way it is, exactly the way it is. And actually, our friend John Stephen online, he made a comment that he says, in my opinion, when it comes to Christmas trees, sometimes imperfection is perfection. And to be honest with you, I've learned that. I've
I
learned
love
that.
that.
Yeah, I've learned to let go, and I'm gonna practice that. For the holiday season, I'm gonna practice that for Thanksgiving. Let go of the perfection and just let it be. Knowing that it's gonna be perfect exactly the way it is and exactly the way it isn't. And the last thing I want to share with everyone is that there is such a thing as the neuroscience of gratitude and joy. Gratitude and joy actually open up a part of our brain where our empathy, better decision making, whether innovating capabilities, that all lives. So practicing gratitude, even when you're in the midst of not so great situations, can stimulate that part of the brain that can help you move forward into, or put yourself in a better place. And again, it can help you reclaim peace, help you reclaim joy and presence during the holiday season. Stephen, anything else that you would invite people to do, especially as we
I,
begin this holiday season?
Yeah, I mean, try as much as you can to not sweat the small stuff, and as you just talked about not being perfect. And again, I think it's really important just to always, even maybe before you walk into an event, that maybe there's somebody there, or maybe more than one person, or maybe you don't even know, and you're preparing yourself. You're already putting this energy as sort of like a protection. And even before you walk in, just remember your life and remember what you have to be grateful for. And I think going in, you'll have a completely different experience if you did that.
That's beautiful. So as we wrap up today's show, I want you all to remember this. Peace isn't something that you find. It's something that we create. And we create it every time we say no to something that doesn't serve us. We create it every time we choose rest over rushing. We create it every time we stop trying to make everyone happy and start honoring what makes us whole and happy. The holidays aren't meant to be perfect. They're meant to be meaningful. What a beautiful thing to remember. They're meant to be meaningful. So this week, give yourself permission to slow down. Give yourself permission to breathe, to choose presence over pressure. Because when you stop chasing that perfect holiday, you finally open up yourself to that one holiday that actually feels the one good holiday for you. So I'm going to invite you guys to, take these, ask yourself this, or practice this ritual, which is ask yourself, what brings me joy? And do that instead of what brings me pressure. So with that said, thank you for joining us. I hope this was a wonderful show for all of you, as it was for Stephen and I. Stephen, we just have a few minutes. Tell people where you are, where they can find you, what you're up to, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Well, the best way to see what's going on is go to my website, stephenthemedium.com. You can see what's going on. I think I have an event in a couple of weeks in Dunn and Sons on November 23rd. I'm doing a lot of private groups from now until the end of the year, but you can also go on my website and book an appointment either in person or virtually. In social media, same thing, Stephen the Medium.
And they can also do a private group
Yes.
on your website. So,
Yes.
and so with that said, I can be available. If you don't follow me, please do so at Coach Elex on Instagram, Facebook. And with that said, we wish you all an incredible weekend, and we will be back next week, next Friday. Thank you all. Thank you, Jim.
Thanks, Dave.